Hello, good morning. My name is Radosław Miernik, and today we are going to I'm going to show you a short presentation how resource allocation and scheduling board works in our app from Dynaway in Business Central. As I said, my name is Radosław Miernik, and I am a member of our team that is responsible for the whole apps connected to the Business Central. And what might be also important, I was one of two person that developed scheduling board for resources in EAM. Okay, this is a short introduction. Let's go to the most important things. I mean, Business Central. Let's start with the resource allocation. What is the resource allocation, how it works in our system? Before the presentation, I prepared two work order plans. I have a work order plan for the part replacement, in my example. For asset number 4, it doesn't matter. It is planned for tomorrow, and all I know that someone needs to replace the part on the asset, and after this replacement, someone needs to do the inspection. And I know its estimated quantity is 2 and 1. But of course, I could decide which resource should it be or who should do the job. But basically, I don't know. I am a manager who is responsible only for the work order plans, and I'm not the let's say resource planner, and I have no idea who is responsible this month of particular jobs. And for that, I can go to the resource allocation directly from the work order plan card. And let's have such a situation that, for example, for every work order, work type part replacement this month, so beginning of the October, the end of the October, the responsible resource is DC. But for each inspection, and let me just delete this, is responsible, for example, KC resource. So we have a DC and a KC. DC is responsible for part replacement. Inspection is KC, the resource that is responsible for that. So it means that in the resource allocations, I can create, let's say, some, not filters, but some statement like every time when I'm creating a work order for this location, for this asset category, for this asset number, work type, plan number, from that date to that date, this resource will be responsible for the job. Having these resource allocations, as you can see, my work order plan is already released, so I can calculate it. As you can see, those are empty. I specified only work type code on the lines right here, nothing more. And if I will go to the calculate plan, as you can see, plan is calculated, and proper resources are added based on the resource allocation. So basically, resource allocations are giving you the possibility to decide which resource is responsible for which job, which work order, work type, for which asset, and so on and so on. So with it, you are not forced to think about it when you are creating the work order plan, because this month it might be DC resource, but the next month we know that DC is on vacation, for example, and somebody else needs to do this particular job. Or maybe just one person is responsible for only part replacement in one location, but in other location, the totally different person is responsible, because those are two different areas, two different locations, and so on and so on. So based on your needings, you can create resource allocations for work type, for asset number, category, location, and so on and so on. So with it, you can create a whole planning, let's say, for incoming work orders based on plans, which has empty number on the resource line from the work order plan. So this is it. This is the resource allocation. Okay. The second thing is the scheduling board for work orders in our system. To start with the scheduling board, of course, from the asset management from the role center, you can go to the scheduling board. But before we go there, we need to go to the setup. Scheduling board setup. And as you can see, in the setup, you will find many different fields which should be filled with the data. What does it mean? First of all, you have here a definition of how should be label created for resources, expenses, and so on and so on, and how should be a tooltip created. It looks complicated sometimes, but okay, of course, you can always change it. And if you will mess up something, you can always restore defaults, and those will be updated to the default value, because everything is installing for the first time with the app. So from the very beginning, you will have some default setup right here. So you can set up everything right here. Second thing is that in the on the scheduling board, you will use colors for blocks, and here you can go to any place which is using the block color. I mean, work type, work order, priority, asset condition, statuses, and so on and so on. And you can visit this place, like for example, asset statuses. You will go to the proper table, proper page, and you will see that here I have a column for the scheduling board color when I need to set up something. Based on my needings, if something is new, is blue. If something is installed, it means it works should be green probably. Broken, let's go with the yellow. Limited, let's go with the brown. But inactive, let's go with the, for example, red. So I have a setup for asset statuses. The same with the types, priorities, and so on. Having that, I can finally go to the scheduling board. And as you can see, I have the visual picture how my work orders are placed in a time based on the resource. On the left side, I have the resources from the system, those resources which are selected as a maintenance resource. Here also I have a contractors if I'm using contractors as external resources. Each block represents one line from the work order resources. And what I can do right here. First of all, as you can see, I see the time scale. I see that something is planned for that day, and so on and so on. Each resource has a capacity, so exactly based on the quantity on the work order line, I can see that okay, this resource has a capacity for, I think, 5 hours. 5 hours in this case. It is already planned a little bit less, so I can always use this capacity more because it's not filled completely. And sometimes I will be able to see that it's almost done. But how to use the work order scheduling board? Always I can grab a block and try to move it. And for example, if I plan to merge, as you can see, the red area is being created. So it means that, okay, I overbooked this resource, so I have to consider something, because this resource cannot do those work orders planned for it, because it's overbooked for now. Okay, on the top, you will see reload. You will see action for simulation to trigger simulation of work orders because sometimes it might be needed from that place. And you have a user setup because each user, each manager might use a totally different view from here. And for example, you can group your resources by resource group or without grouping, and some other stuff which is also available from the toolbar, so I'm not going to tell about it too much right here. Also, you have a possibility to select original planned date, and you will see the line for original planned date on the work order. You will see the line for the latest finish date, and also you can specify if you want to highlight the scope from original planned date and for latest finish date. What does it mean? I will use this with the latest finish date highlighting. Let me use one functionality from the top, search, because I remember that a second ago I created this work order for the part replacement, and I'm interested in one particular line for it, but I don't want to search for it manually. I can use search button. As you can see, it is highlighted right now. I see where is it on the work order. If I will go to the work order card, what I can do from the scheduling board, I can see that latest finish date it is 27th of October. So it means that I planned that it should be done before that date. If I will try to move it, as you can see, some area is highlighted, some area is a little bit darker. What does it mean? It means that I'm as a user, I see that if I will put somewhere here this resource, it means that it will be overdue. Because also on the scheduling board, I have a possibility to highlight those work orders which are overdue. As you can see, only two work orders, two lines, I mean, are, let's say, white, and others are still with a color. It means that those with a color are overdue. So I should consider doing them on the first place. If I will move this somewhere here, it will be overdue and the same story. Okay. What else? Work order might have a priority. And of course, by selecting the button show priority, I will see and the small, let's say, bookmark or mark on each block to inform me that probably this one has a higher priority, this one, because I know that in my system, I decided that lower priority means green, higher priority means red. So I can always use it. For example, on the right side, I have unscheduled work order. What does it mean that work order is unscheduled? It means that work order exists, but it has no, I mean, line. Line exists, or but is without the resource number. So I see that there is nothing. So it means that this is unscheduled yet for the particular resource. And as you can see, two different blocks are right here. But for now, I'm not interested at all. So I can always hide unscheduled, or I can, if it's shown, I can always expand everything in one click. When we are using a scheduling board and we are investigating our work orders in a database and we want to organize them a little bit better, or we have a lots of connected work orders, what does connected blocks? What does it mean connected block? It means that the same work order header is on the top of this block. Like for example, in that case, if I will open the work order, you can see that I have many lines for the same work order. In this case, 5. And I know that some of them, as you can see in that line, some of them are connected with the same work order header, came from the same work order header. But as you can see, I have 6. But I said that I have only 5 from the same work order header. So how to investigate which blocks are connected to each other? If I will select highlight work order right now, function of highlighting blocks with the same source is on, and every time when I will click on anything right now, only those blocks which came from the same work order are highlighted. In that case, as you can see, this one and that one. For example, in that case, only those 5, or for example, only 1. What is also important, I just want to highlight this, that I can select something on the, let's say, planned area, but also unscheduled work order is highlighted with the same resource, but it works also if I will select any unscheduled work order, unscheduled line right here, and scheduled is also highlighted. So I can, let's say, right now I can be focused only on those blocks which are important for me, because I see that, okay, for this work order, this line is already planned, but I need to consider doing something with those 2 lines because they are unscheduled for now. So I will need to put those for any resource. When you are a planner, you have always possibility to use some filters on the scheduling board to reduce how many work orders are visible or how many resources are visible and so on. And let's check our example. We have a DC and KC. Those resources have work orders which I want to investigate, but I'm not totally interested in any other resource for now. So I can go to create a filter. I can choose the DC resource and KC. Okay. So as you can see on the top, I see what filter is applied on the board, and as you can see, the resource number is reduced to those 2 resources, DC and KC, and I can do whatever I want in the scheduling board. If, for example, I am at team lead and I'm responsible only for those 2 resources, I'm not interested at all in any other resources in any other resource in the database in the company. So I can create my own filter. I can save it as a DCKC. It's only my filter, so I'm not going to share it with other users. And I can always go to the user setup and set this filter as my default filter. So every time when I will open scheduling board, this filter will be applied automatically. So yeah, of course I can clear filter to see what is in the whole structure, but also I can check, for example, for only cleaning work orders or any other type if I have any in my system. Okay, so this is how filters work. I think those are the most important part, but the second, just to mention, with the EAM, you have a possibility to use advanced planning. It means that you can plan your lines for more than 1 day. So with this functionality, users have a possibility to plan work orders for not only 1 day, but for example, for, let's say, 2 days. And as you can see, it is also applied right here. So it's not only for 1 day, but for 2 days. It is, of course, supporting this solution also. And on the scheduling board setup, you have all also planning by hours. So it means that it's not only about the date of starting and finishing the work or the line, but it's also about the dates, the time. So if I will, for example, go to edit schedule and I know that it should be 1st a.m. till, for example, that date time in the future, as you can see, it is finishing in a proper date time on the scheduling board. And of course, I can move it, I can plan it, whatever I want to. So basically, those are basics about the scheduling board. This is a helpful tool to plan, to organize your work in your company, to work with the work order lines, and so on. And fortunately, we know that users are using and we are implementing new stuff or we are at least trying to implement new functionalities, new possibilities, and we are developing this tool still on and on. So yeah, this is how it works.